All right, welcome boys and girls. We're so excited to have another virtual career day. It has been a blast learning about all these people and all their jobs. Well, today I'm going to introduce you to somebody that's from our very own school district, which sounds kind of weird because you guys are always used to teachers and being able to see teachers, but there's other jobs in our school district that you can do with your teaching degree or that don't necessarily have to do with teaching. Well, today we're going to talk to Miss Prissy LeMay. Welcome. Thanks for agreeing to join us on this. And go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you for inviting me to be here today. I'm super excited to join you. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about how I got to my current position and my education that led up to me being here. I started out as a kindergarten teacher that I taught kindergarten for half a year when I first completed my undergrad degree in secondary education. So that was a bit different, having a secondary degree but teaching kindergarten. But I truly enjoyed it. Then I taught sixth grade for several years in a self-contained classroom, and then moved on to being able to teach the students in the gifted and talented program. So throughout the course of my teaching, I always went back to school over the summer or took night classes and was able to get my master's degree in special education with an emphasis in gifted and talented. Then I continued on to get my educational specialist, which would allow me to get my principal certification and be allowed to be a middle school principal, which I truly love being. I was a principal of a 5 through 8 building, so it was a lot of fun being able to work with middle school students then. I stayed in that position for a couple years before I moved to the Kansas City area, and I've been up here for about 20 years, and I was assistant principal on the Kansas side for a while. I've gone back and forth between administration and teaching, and I always thought it gave me the different perspective from being out of the classroom as administrator and then going back into the classroom to teach students. So that allowed me to give a whole holistic picture of education. And then I became an instructional coach in another school district for several years and a coordinator of professional development. At that time, I had been talking about getting my doctorate, so I started working on that 4 years ago and just recently completed it in November. So it was a lot of writing, a lot of reading, a lot of math involved, but I truly enjoy learning, so it was a great experience for me. I came to the independent school district 2 years ago, so this is my second year as the assistant superintendent over middle schools, curriculum instruction, and professional development. So it gives me a lot of different things to do over the course of my days and being able to work. I get to do a lot with going into buildings and seeing what students are doing, talking to teachers and seeing how our resources are, and just getting a broad perspective of how things are going in each of the buildings. So that's a lot of fun for me. I enjoy doing that. I'd like to show you around my office if that's okay. So first, I always try, right now it's kind of messy, just all kinds of papers all over the place. But as I move around around my room, office, you can see I got a stand-up desk there. I'm usually not at it very much, but also when I have meetings with the middle school principals, they come over and we sit here and take notes up on our whiteboard. We've got that. And then I got a lot of books. So I'm just really a book person, and so got books and binders and things that I can keep my notes with. So I try to keep very organized because that's one thing that we got to do is be organized, not only when you're in school at every grade level, but all throughout life. So I'm always writing things down and making sure that I'm checking things off as I get them done so that I could be on top of things that I need to do.
Perfect. It sounds like you have so much, there's so many cool things that are going on for you that you must have just a complete love of learning to be able to be in school for as long as you've been in school.
I do really love to learning, but the best part about it is that I've had some really great teachers, and they were really turned me on to wanting to continue to learn. If things were really tough, they allowed me to be able to. They made me struggle, do that productive struggle, but they also gave me supports when I needed them. So being able to push me a little bit and then back off and let me struggle so that I could be able to problem solve.
That sounds like a lot of grit, which is what we teach at Fairmount, is always talking about grit, that we're going to have to struggle, but it's a productive struggle to get through. So I know that as we're talking about this, we're looking at a lot of kids that are out there. There's kids, believe it or not, that love school. And so if you love school, this might be the career path for you to choose. Because Miss LeMay, you've been in school, let's see, kindergarten through high school, so that's 13 years. And then you went to a 4-year college to get your bachelor's degree. So 13 plus 4, that's 17 years. And then you got your master's, another 2 years. Yes. And then you just finished your doctorate. That's pretty cool. So we can call you Dr. LeMay.
I'm getting used to that name.
And I know a lot of boys and girls think about a doctor as somebody with a stethoscope and that they're helping your body in some way, but you can also get a doctor of education, and that's what you've done. And what does that mean to be a doctor of education?
It's really a doctor of education is that person who is really in the practice of teaching and educating and being able to do research on things that involve students and learning and assessments and testing and things like that.
Very good. Well, we really are excited. So we have a couple of questions that we ask every time that we meet with somebody. And so here's just a couple of quick questions to check in. So we just finished this one, really. What school is required to perform your job? So we just said 13 years of elementary, middle school, high school. And then 4 more years of college, that makes 17, and then 2 more years to get your master's, which is 19. And that's where I'm at right now. I've got my master's, but then you went on 4 more years to get your doctorate. So that's a lot of school that you've been through. So clearly you love school. What's your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job is being able to go out into the school buildings and talking to kids and seeing what they're learning and them showing me their work and how they're tackling those hard problems and showing that grit and being able to persevere. And I also enjoy working with the teachers and that professional development so that we can all continue to grow in our jobs.
And you said that you are over middle school. So that means when our kids go to Nowland Middle School, they might see you walking around the halls.
They would see me walking around the halls and visiting with the teachers and the building principal and the assistant principals and seeing what those middle school kids are doing.
Awesome. Wonderful. And the last question we have for you is, what is your favorite subject in school when you were in elementary school, if you can remember? Yeah.
This was really hard because there are so many things about every subject that's combined into interdisciplinary, but I think I really, I liked numbers and working with numbers and math, and I just really like to do the mental math and being able to see how quick I can figure out problems.
Very cool. We have been talking a lot lately about number talks right before we left. And so our kids know like a lot about that number talks and being able to get those numbers mentally in your head. And so we talked about trying to find a way to do that virtually, and we haven't come up with a way, because I can say, okay, what's 17 plus 24? Do it mentally, and nobody can reply to me. So it's a great thing. And I love to hear that you love math so much, because math and science are definitely something that are a passion for me. But still, even though that math and science, I'm sure you still are using that math constantly in your work today. And I know reading and writing is something that's just every single day for you. Do you have a favorite book maybe that you liked that you can recommend to some elementary friends?
You know, when I was teaching 6th grade, I always loved reading Hatchet. to my students, and they knew I loved reading it so much that sometimes after recess they just keep me reading more and more because time would just get away from me, so I had to start using a timer because I loved reading that book out loud.
Yes, he is a great author. I love him as well, and that's such a good book. So, well, thanks so much for joining us today, Miss LeMay, and we'll see you next time on our next episode of Virtual Career Day.